Keep yourself in the loop of everything football on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. The latest news on and off the field, be it college football, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC to the NFL. We've got you covered. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
All right, and welcome to the GSMC Football Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. And as always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. All right, so if my math is correct, which usually it isn't, today is day 26 without football. All right, like I said last show, we still got March, we still got April, we still got May. Oh, man. And then we got June, July. Training camp starts up at the end. And then we got preseason in August. All right, so we can fight through it. But even though it's the offseason, the show never sleeps. At least not on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So here we go. For today's show, this is what we're doing today. We're talking Miami Dolphins in the first segment. All right, we're going to talk Ryan Tannehill. Is time up for him? Maybe. All right, looking like Miami might be taking a quarterback in this draft. And, Ryan Tannehill's just been the epitome of, this year? Maybe next year. Is it this year? Maybe next year. All right, so we'll be talking about all that. See what they got going on with Jarvis Landry, too. Second segment, we're going to talk about those Browns. All right, talk about all the picks that they got. Talk about what I think they should do. Pretty much talk about everything that has to do with the Browns. All right, in the second segment. Third segment, we're going to talk about Forte retiring. Is he a Hall of Famer? You already know the answer to that. Actually, we're going to talk about a couple of running backs today about whether or not they're Hall of Famers, all right? One's not retired yet, but we will be talking about him. So maybe we'll just do that for the third segment. Talk about those two running backs, Matt Forte and the other one I'm thinking of, and then talk about whether they're Hall of Fame material or not. Maybe talk about a couple other things in that segment. And then for the fourth segment, we're going to be talking about whatever else is going on in the football world, whether it's weird, whether it's cool, whether it's just something that's coming through my head, whatever it's to talk about for that fourth segment, we'll be doing that. We're also going to talk about John Gruden, too. Dude's a real old guy, let me tell you, all right? Yesterday at the Combine was talking about how not into all that analytic stuff, all that technology, so I'm not going to talk too much about it right now. Like I said, we'll talk about it later on in the show, but nonetheless, I mean, it's time to grow up, John. Time to get with the times, all right? It's not in the 90s anymore. The young kids are taking over, so hopefully he figures that out sooner rather than later, because you know what? Doesn't really end up too well for coaches who try to go back in time, let me tell you. All right, so we'll be doing that. That's how the show's going to go. So let's get it started. Let's talk Ryan Tannehill. Let's talk Miami Dolphins. Let's talk everything right there. So Adam Gase talked about how I was talking about at the Combine saying that he wishes he could draft a quarterback every year. All right, and that Ryan Tannehill is okay with them drafting a quarterback. And that they're going to be looking at everything, whatever. Talked about Jarvis Landry a bit too. And I think this team does need a quarterback. All right. Ryan Tannehill has shown flashes of what he could be, but has never seemed to put it together. Ever. Except for the year they made the playoffs and he tore his ACL that year. All right. Next year comes, everyone's thinking, you know what, this is going to be Ryan Tannehill's breakout year. And I don't think he even retore it. I just think he completely tore it this time in training camp. All right. So, yeah, there's a whole season that goes by. Miami goes 6-10, goes through the Jay Cutler experience, even gets Matt Moore to go out there and throw a couple interceptions. Just doesn't work out, all right? Biggest win of the season was beating the Patriots. That was pretty much their Super Bowl, okay? Now here we are in the offseason. It's looking like they like Baker Mayfield a lot. Some mock drafts got Josh Rosen falling to them. So all the talk about, is Miami going for a quarterback this year? It's been surfacing, okay? And I've liked Ryan Tannehill, okay? I've always thought he had what it took, okay? I just thought he needed an offensive line, thought he needed good coaching staff, all that. Just general stuff you need to build a good team, all right? And like I said, that year they went to the playoffs, it looked like it was that year. But now, I mean, it's pretty much, how long can you wait for a guy to play well? All right, how long? The Jaguars said they can wait 4 years. and they'll give him a new contract even though he hasn't played well. All right, talking about Blake Bortles getting his deal. Jags are willing to wait. I don't think Adam Gase and that's one thing too, okay? The difference between the Jags and the Miami Dolphins is that one has a top defense in the league, one just played in the AFC Championship, one makes the playoffs from time to time, I guess from a 10-year span from 2008 to 2017, 9-year span, whatever you want to call it. And when they do make the playoffs, they get blown out. All right? So that's the difference. Miami's got to finally change it up. All right? They finally got to do something. They went through, 17, 18 quarterbacks since Dan Marino. Looked like Tannehill was going to be the guy. Tannehill is the best quarterback the Dolphins have had since Dan Marino, too. That's no secret, and that's not an overstatement by any means. That's the truth, all right? Ryan Tannehill is by far the best quarterback the Dolphins have had since Dan Marino. Okay, but, there's just got to be a point where, and I think that's the biggest problem, too. Miami is stuck with Tannehill for this long because they've had so many bad quarterbacks. All right? You went from the John Becks, the Chad Henneys, the Sage Rosenfels, the Ray Lucases, Cleo Lemons. I think I can name them all. Let's see if we can name them all. I might just push that to the fourth segment, see if I can name all the Miami Dolphins quarterbacks without even looking it up. And yes, if that's what I'm going to do for the fourth segment, I will not look it up. So maybe we'll do that. But like I said, either way, so many quarterbacks they've had, okay? So many. And then good old Ryan Tannehill comes up. Shows flashes of what he could be. All right? And people just cling on to that. But now it's pretty much Miami's starting to waste away the good team they have now, okay? And there's the whole Jarvis Landry thing we'll talk about in a few moments, but you got guys like him on the team, Kenny Stills. I'm not going to mention Devontae Parker. Don't really think of him too much as a good player. You got Kenyon Drake, who had a nice little season with the Dolphins after J.J. got traded away. You got a defense who's can do a job, all right? And that's one thing, too. The Dolphins, if they're not going to trade up and wait for the 11th pick to come, and they're waiting to see if a Baker Mayfield or Josh Rosen falls into their lap, but there's a Roquan Smith or Tremaine Edmonds there. You take the linebacker. You have to. All right? Linebacker is a bigger need for that Dolphins team than quarterback. All right? So, yeah, I understand. If Josh Rosen is there, then I feel like you got to take him because I think that's the best quarterback in the draft right now. But also, it's a matter of do you want Roquan Smith or Edmonds or do you want Rosen? All right, if it comes down to Mayfield and Rosen and Smith and Edmonds are there, either or, I'm taking one of those linebackers if I'm them. All right, Miami hasn't had good linebackers in. When did Zach Thomas retire? Not even sure. All right, that's the last time they had a real solid linebacker. Koemisi had the tools, got hurt too much. Kiko Alonso was about as slow as a hippo. All right, you got Raekwon McMillan. They drafted in the second round last year. Blew out his knee on a special teams play in the first game of preseason. All right, he's going to be the starter there this year. They're going to be cutting Timmons. It's looking like going to be cutting a bunch of other guys. So, they need a linebacker. So, if Smith and Edmonds are there, you take them. But if not, you take a quarterback. All right, it's time. And who knows, maybe if you're Miami, you use Tannehill as trade bait and the 11th pick and trade up. All right? Maybe a team like the Broncos wants him. Maybe the Browns will take him. Okay? Let's see. You got the Browns, who are a quarterback-needy team. You got the Broncos. I doubt that the Dolphins trade Tannehill within the division. If they trade Tannehill within the division to the Jets, that's just straight-up disrespectful. And I doubt that the Giants or Colts are taking a quarterback. Colts definitely aren't. I doubt that the Giants will. All right, so let's see. You got 3 teams in the top 10 who need quarterbacks. You'll take Josh Allen off the board. You'll take Darnold off the board. That'll leave you Rosen and Mayfield. And if the Broncos take Cousins, then it's just Allen and Darnold probably going to be going in the top 10. So Miami does have a solid chance to where a guy like Josh Rosen or Baker Mayfield falls to number 11. All right, but if they want to trade up, then you got to give up Tannehill or maybe you give up Landry. But if you trade up in the draft and you keep Tannehill and draft a quarterback, that makes no sense because that means they'd have to trade Landry in that 11th pick. That messes it up. I say if you're going to draft a rookie quarterback this year and trade up for him, then you trade Tannehill and you re-sign Landry. All right, you can't get rid of a guy like Landry where he'll be able to help out a rookie quarterback. All right, Landry would be a big help to some quarterback, especially to Mayfield too. All right, because Mayfield, I like him, but I don't know. I just don't think he's as good as or as ready as Rosen right now. So Mayfield's the one that needs kind of develop. So you throw out a little security blanket like Jarvis Landry out there, boom, you're under duress, hit Landry every time. All right, But it's going to be interesting to see what they do, all right? They're kind of messed up as far as cap space goes. There's been talks about them releasing Sue. I doubt they do that. They could release Tannehill. I doubt they do that because that's a guy you could trade and get some value for. All right? They're going to cut Julius Thomas. They're going to cut Lawrence Timmons. They need linebackers. They need help. All right? You take a guy like Roquan Smith or Tremaine Edmonds in the first round, then you take Mason Rudolph or Lamar Jackson in the second round. And you know what? I really like Lamar Jackson. Let me tell you. All right? I don't know what the deal is, but it seems like every analyst and writer is trying to figure out a way to put him down. All right? I have no clue why. You got Bill Polian saying he's short. All right, the dude is a half-inch shorter than Sam Darnold. Says his hands are small. Dude's got the same hand size as Sam Darnold. It makes no sense whatsoever, all right? I think I saw a stat like 5 or 4, 3 quarterbacks, in between 3 to 5 quarterbacks in the draft last year were drafted in the first round that were his height. It's making no sense. I have no clue what Bill Polian's problem is against Lamar Jackson, but the dude has no idea what he's talking about, all right? No idea whatsoever. People talk about Bill Polian like he's this some genius, all right? When he was with the Colts, the only good move he ever made is draft Peyton Manning. I'm not even sure. Is Bill Polian the guy that drafted Peyton Manning? I think so. Either way, that's all he ever did. Peyton Manning never had anyone, all right, on that team. Marvin Harrison was nothing without Peyton Manning. All right? Nothing. Peyton Manning is the reason why that team won so many games, not Bill Polian. All right? He's overrated. Okay? The dude has no idea what he's talking about when it comes to Lamar Jackson. It's ridiculous. Really? You're going to say he's a wide receiver? Dude's never played the position in his life, but you're going to say move him the wide receiver? That makes no sense whatsoever at all. All right? Bill Polian has literally come up with reason after reason as to why Lamar Jackson isn't going to be a good quarterback. The dude has something against him. I'm not sure what it is. And again, this is all opinion and all that, but I mean, it's just ridiculous. But getting back to Miami, yeah, as far as Tannehill goes, I mean, it's either you keep him and you still draft a quarterback, or you just trade him and draft a quarterback. All right, Tannehill, if they do end up keeping him, this has got to be the last season right here. Unless he takes him to the playoffs, then you got to cut the cord, all right? I know Gase is a very loyal person to his players and all that. That's why he brought Jay Cutler back instead of Colin Kaepernick, and I really think Miami would have been so much better with Colin Kaepernick. That offense is perfect for him. But either way, decided to give that $10 million to Jay Cutler. Didn't work out, all right? Hired a bunch of new staff as for the coaching and stuff like that. Hired a new offensive coordinator, I think it was. Hired a new running backs coach, hired a new DBs coach, just hired a bunch of coaches on that team, all right? So he's trying to build that up. Now you got to execute in the draft, okay? You have to. You have to get a quarterback. Whether it's the second round or the first round, a quarterback must be drafted because you cannot continue to wait for Tannehill, all right? Let's say they keep Tannehill and draft Rosen. You throw Rosen as in the backup spot until Tannehill either stinks or until Tannehill's contract's up, all right? Because, I mean, Tannehill, like I said, he's not a bad quarterback. He's just a quarterback who hasn't put it all together yet, and Miami just can't wait for it anymore. All right, so you keep him, sure, make him the starter for this season. If he stinks it up, take him out. If he makes the playoffs, then boom, he's a starter again next season. But you have to draft a quarterback. So we'll see what's going on there. And as far as Landry goes, I mean, Josina Anderson sent out a tweet saying that there was great communication between him, his agent, and the coaching staff or whoever they met with at the combine. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. That shows no clarity. All right, maybe it was oh, hey, we're going to trade you. All right, okay, cool. Or maybe it's a, hey, we want to keep you. We're going to try and work out a deal. Okay, cool. Boom. Great communication. No idea what it means. But either way, I don't think Miami should trade Landry. All right, pay him the $14 million. Get it over with. All right, you don't pay him what you think he's worth. You pay him what the market says he's worth. All right, I'm going to continue to say that. So I think they should pay him if they draft a quarterback. If not, I mean, I think the offense might struggle a bit without him. So that's all I got to say about that. Next up, we're going to be talking about the good old Cleveland Browns, talking about what they do with all the picks they got, and pretty much what my plan would be for them. So stay tuned, and we will be right back.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Football Podcast. We spent that first segment talking about what the Dolphins do in the draft. Do they draft a quarterback or do they stick with Tannehill? I say draft a quarterback and maybe trade up, giving up Tannehill, but we'll see what happens either way. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with that team. I mean, Adam Gase is in this is going to be his third year with the team. He's got to start. He's got to do something this year, right? Can't just go 6-10 this year and expect to keep his job. It's either you win or you don't. All right, if you want to stick by Tannehill and try it out, you do that. If not, good luck. So we'll see what they end up doing. I mean, the team's gone through so many quarterbacks. I think for that fourth segment, I am going to try and name all the quarterbacks that have gone since Dan Marino between him and Tannehill. See if I can get it right. All right, I'm not going to look, I promise. I'm not going to go and try and cheat. So we'll see if I can get those. Talk about probably whatever else in the fourth segment too. But for this segment, we're going to be talking, what are we talking? Cleveland Browns football. All right, so what are we going to be talking about? Pretty much what they need to do in the draft, or at least what I think they should do. All right. And pretty much what their plan should be. So let's get into it. So as we know, the Cleveland Browns have been just as bad as the quarterback position as the Miami Dolphins. All right. And that's pretty hard to do, but nonetheless, they have. All right. The Cleveland Browns have been a bad team since 1998. And I think that this past year was the final chapter of their misery. And like I said, if you're a Cleveland Browns fan out there, go write a book about it. People are going to buy it, all right? But I do want some royalties for this being my idea, okay? So you go write the book. You could put inspired by Just Tapia, and I want about maybe 5% of whatever you make off the book. All right, maybe 10%, whatever. We can work out the details, but you got to write the book first. So I think that should be a big idea. But either way, getting back to the point. All right. The Cleveland Browns have the first and the fourth pick this year. They have 7 picks within the first 97 picks of the draft. All right. They have a ton of cap space. There's a few good free agent quarterbacks out there. All right. What do? All right. You got Kirk Cousins out there. You got Case Keenum. You got A.J. McCarron. You got Teddy Bridgewater. Let's see. Any other good quarterbacks out there? I don't know. I don't think so. I think that's pretty much it right there. Unless I'm completely missing on someone. But I think those are probably the top free agent quarterbacks left. All right. So, like I said, what happens? Do you sign Kirk Cousins, trade the first pick? Do you sign Kirk Cousins, keep the first pick, trade the fourth? Do you sign Kirk Cousins, keep both picks? Do you sign Case Keenum? All right. Or do you just draft a quarterback in this year? No clue what they're going to do, but this is what I would do if I was them, okay? If I'm the Browns, I know Case Keenum is going to, or not Case Keenum, I know Kirk Cousins is going to cost me a lot of money, all right? He's going to be the highest paid quarterback of all time. Do I want to give a quarterback like that all of my money? Do I think that Kirk Cousins is even that much better than Case Keenum? I don't think so, all right? Let me tell you, Case Keenum, yeah, he's only had one good year so far, and you'd be taking a chance if you signed him to a long-term deal instead of Kirk Cousins. All right, Kirk Cousins at least has shown that he could be a good quarterback for consistently. All right, A.J. McCarron, that's a guy that you sign in free agency and still take a quarterback in the first round. All right, A.J. McCarron is just honestly, I think he's just a placeholder. Okay, that's it. I could be wrong. I might be wrong, but like A.J. McCarron doesn't excite me if I'm the Browns. Okay. And I'm sure the Browns really don't want to go with a rookie quarterback because they failed at it for so long. All right, the Johnny Manziel experience didn't work. They drafted Tim Couch one year. Who else have they drafted? Maybe we can name the Browns the Browns quarterbacks too. Maybe that's what the fourth segment's gonna be. Just name these two teams quarterbacks since their last one. I think the Browns' last good quarterback, was that Bernie Kosar? I think it might have been. That's pretty brutal. But either way, if I'm the Browns, this is what I'm doing. I'm signing Case Keenum, giving him a 4-year deal worth, let's go, $100 million. All right? And I'll give him 80 of it guaranteed. Okay? 20 mil a year guaranteed, plus the other 20 mil for incentives. All right? You space that out. That's what I'm doing. That's what he's worth, too. People are probably like, you're going to give Case Keenum all that money? Yeah, you have to. All right, Case Keenum is on the same level as a Ryan Tannehill, Blake Bortles. They're making 18, 19 mil a year. Case Keenum played in the NFC Championship. All right, you're going to have to pay him something. That's just how it goes. All right, like I always say, you don't pay him what you think he's worth. You pay him what the market says he's worth. The market says he's worth 18 to 20 million. Made it to the NFC Championship, like I said. Boom, 20 mil right there. All right, you got to do it. But either way, I'm doing that. And I'm still using those picks I got in the first round. I'm not trading those picks whatsoever unless someone comes like, hey, we'll give you this great player and we'll give you all these picks. All right. It's time the Browns start using the picks. It's time. How many times are you going to trade back and build up draft picks and just wait till the next year? All right. You got to start building the team. You got to start winning games. You can't keep being garbage. All right. You can't. There's no way. You have to do something finally. Bring some excitement to the team. All right. Who was their quarterback? Deshaun Kaiser? Yeah, they whiffed on that. You could have had Deshaun Watson. All right. You drafted Johnny Manziel. The dude's not even in the league anymore. All right. They've been so bad. I mean, they drafted Brandon Whedon. They really drafted a 26-year-old at the time. 27-year-old, I think. Listen to that. Listen to what I'm saying. The Browns drafted a 27-year-old quarterback as a rookie. Are you serious? I mean, I'm not sure what the front office problem was the last, 20 years or so, but it's looking like they've been hiring some pretty smart people out there. They got to do something, all right? You can't go drafting 27-year-olds, Johnny Manziel's, Deshaun Kaiser's, all right, all the other quarterbacks that they've had. You have to do something, all right? And whether that be getting a Case Keenum, Kirk Cousins, or drafting a rookie QB, you got to hit on it. They got to get it right this time because it's ridiculous. All right. This Browns team has been the laughingstock of the NFL for so long. I've never seen a good Browns team in my life. All right. All I've ever known in football is that Tom Brady dominates and the Browns stink. That's it. All right. That's all I've ever known. All right. My favorite team plays in the AFC. I've seen Tom Brady dominate that year after year. All right. And I've seen the Browns stink year after year. Those are the only two constants since I've been alive watching football, at least since I can remember. So probably since I could probably last remember watching football around 2002. First Super Bowl I remember watching was the Bucs and Raiders Super Bowl. All right. Tom Brady's been dominating since then. The Browns have been bad since then. Okay. That's literally what I think of when it comes to the NFL. All right. So, I mean, they got to start doing something. They got to get it right this time. Okay. You can't just keep losing and losing and losing and losing and losing. All right. The Browns, if they do get it right, they do have a chance to win 7 games this year. 6 to 7 games. Okay. You got the Ravens, who are going to be a bad team this year, most likely. You got the Bengals, who don't even know what they're doing right now. All right. I mean, worst comes to worst, we just give Marvin Lewis an extension. Okay. The Browns, this is their time to strike. All right. The Steelers are going to be dominating that division once again. That's no doubt, obviously. All right. And that's one thing, too, with the Steelers. They need to re-sign Le'Veon Bell. Give the dude the $15 million or $17 million and be done with it, okay? He's worth it. No one could do what he does. A dude's a Hall of Famer. I don't know. That's a good question. Is Le'Veon Bell a Hall of Famer? He's only, 25? Feels like he's been in the league for so long. Is Le'Veon Bell good enough to be a Hall of Famer yet? Or does he need to play a couple more years? I'm not sure. But if I'm the Steelers, I'm giving Le'Veon Bell whatever he wants. All right? And the market doesn't tell me that Le'Veon Bell is worth that much. The market tells me he's only worth about $10 million. But if Le'Veon Bell's telling me, hey, I'm not going to play under the franchise tag, and if you don't pay me what I want, I'm going to leave, then I know some other team is going to be paying him all that money. It's true. You got a 49ers team that has all the cap space in the world. All right, even signing Jimmy Garoppolo to that monster deal. You got the Jets, who need a quarterback, got all the cap space in the world. The Colts got cap space. The Bucks have cap space. All right, someone is going to give Le'Veon Bell what he wants. And if I'm the Steelers, might as well be me. All right, because you don't re-sign Le'Veon Bell, you're not going to be that good anymore. All right, let's look at the cap space numbers. San Francisco's got $71 million left in cap. The Bucks got 75, Colts got 79, Chicago's got 80, the Jets got 894, and the Browns have 111 in total cap space. All right. That is ridiculous. The Browns have $111 million. All right. Let's see. Yeah, so, I mean, Le'Veon Bell will go to the Jets. He will go to the Buccaneers, or he will go to the 49ers if the Steelers let him walk. All right. The Steelers will not be that good of a team if they let Le'Veon Bell go. Let me tell you that much. All right. But getting back to the Browns, boom, look at that. You got $111 million in cap space. All right. You can afford to pay for 2 Kirk Cousins. Maybe 3 Kirk Cousins. All right. They got to figure something out, though. If I'm them, I mean, why not just, if I'm them, if the Steelers don't franchise Le'Veon Bell and let him test free agency, go get Case Keenum and get Le'Veon Bell. All right? Le'Veon Bell seems like the type of guy where if the Steelers disrespect him and don't pay him, he'll go to a rival team. All right? The Cleveland Browns with Case Keenum and Le'Veon Bell could win the division. All right? And I'm just throwing out hypotheticals. I highly doubt this will ever happen. All right? It's the offseason. We're getting a little bit crazy. All right? We're throwing stuff out there. But imagine the Browns get Case Keenum and Le'Veon Bell. You don't need Case Keenum to do half as much as what he did. Half as much as what he did with the Minnesota Vikings. All right? And when you need him to throw the ball, hey, throw it to Josh Gordon over there. Oh, hey, throw it to Corey Coleman if he's healthy. Oh, we got an up-and-coming tight end, David Njoku. Throw it to him. Oh, they're not open? Throw it over Le'Veon Bell. That team would be disgusting. All right? So, the Browns got a lot of thinking, all right? But John Dorsey, the GM for that team, came out and said that they're open to trading the first pick. Do not trade the first pick, please, Cleveland. Do not. Go get the best player in the draft. If you're not going to sign a Le'Veon Bell, get a Saquon Barkley, please. Please. Do something. All right? I'm tired of seeing the Browns lose all the time. All right? I'm not a Browns fan by any means, but, I feel bad for the fans. They show up to the games every year, sell at the stadium game after game, and they just watch a dumpster fire, all right? They watch an NFL team versus a dumpster fire. Game in, game out, year in, year out, all right? They owe it to these fans to finally do something, all right? They do. They truly do, okay? It's not like that for most teams, all right? For me personally, I don't think fans are owed anything, but, with these Cleveland Browns fans, they keep pouring that money into that team as far as merchandise and all that goes. Go out, get a quarterback, please. Do something. That's all you got to do. Just do something, all right? But if they sign A.J. McCarron and don't draft a quarterback, the city of Cleveland might go down. Just imagine. You sign A.J. McCarron, LeBron James leaves the city of Cleveland. Oh, my gosh. That would be awful. Hilarious, but it'd be awful. All right? Yeah, the Browns owe it to the city of Cleveland to do something because LeBron is leaving. All right, let me tell you that much. All right, I know it's a football podcast, but Cleveland, all right, if you're a Cleveland football fan, Cleveland basketball fan, and you're listening to this, LeBron's leaving. You better hope that football team does something. If not, it's going to be a whole bunch of misery. Imagine going back to the days where the Browns and the Cavs were bad. At least you got the Indians, but, let me tell you this much. The AL belongs to the Red Sox and Yankees and the Astros, all right? Indians, not going to do anything. So, Cleveland, the Browns, do that city a favor, please. Get Kirk Cousins, draft Saquon Barkley, draft Minka Fitzpatrick, draft Mason Rudolph in the second round, all right? So that's all I got to say about that. That's going to wrap it up for this segment. Next up, we're going to be talking about Matt Forte and another running back I have in mind. Are they Hall of Famers? One is, one isn't, all right? Talk about anything else. I think probably talk about John Gruden being an old man yelling at clouds. Talking about, I hate technology and all that. So we'll be doing that. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Football Podcast. That last segment we spent it talking about the Cleveland Browns, talking about how they need to finally get it right this year, man. You cannot go another year being a terrible team. Show some progress, all right? It's cool if you win 5, 6, 7 games, but show some progress. And even that's progress, all right? But just compete, do something, all right? And I'm still not sure how it's going to work with Hugh Jackson being the coach, all right? Hugh Jackson, the offensive coordinator, great. Hugh Jackson, the head coach, Terrible, all right? I like to think Hugh Jackson's only won one game in 2 years with the Browns. Could I win more than one game, or at least one game? Could I be that? Maybe. Yeah, I could. Give me the right team. I could. All right. But yeah, so we talked about that. First segment, we talked about the Miami Dolphins, talked about Ryan Tannehill. We did that. For this segment, we're going to talk about Matt Forte retiring. Is he a Hall of Fame running back? Maybe. I don't know. We'll talk about it. And we're going to talk about good old Frank Gore. All right. Is he a Hall of Famer? So we'll be doing that. Like I said, we're probably going to fit in John Gruden into the segment. If not, just push him off into the next. So that's what this segment's looking like. All right. So let's look at Matt Forte. All right. Retired, played 10 years in the league, rushed for a little less than 10,000 yards, about 200 yards less, 54 touchdowns. All right. Played 146 career games, over 2,000 rushes. And now he's retired, all right? Let's see what his best year was as far as rushing yards goes. All right, let's see. Played with the Bears up until 2015, from 2008 2015. Best year rushing was his third to last year with the Bears, all right? Yeah, third to last. 2013 had over 1,300 yards. Let's see, 9 touchdowns. Let's see how did he do receiving. Over nearly 600 yards receiving, 74 receptions, 3 touchdowns, all right? And let's see, second best year was his rookie year with over 1,200 yards, 8 touchdowns. So, I mean, after that, it's pretty much just a nice little career, all right? So Frank Gore, at one point, was one of the most talented running backs in the league, all right? No one could do what he did, as well as he did, all right? But wasn't filling up the stat sheet like you'd expect or anything like that, because, I mean, you did have Jay Cutler out there in Chicago throwing the ball all around, had Brandon Marshall out there, all right? And I mean, where did Brandon Marshall start out with? Brandon Marshall's been in the league for quite a while. He started out with Denver. He started out with Chicago. I think he started out with Denver, right? Yeah, I think he started out with Denver. Then they met each other back up in Chicago, right? I'm so confused right now. Yeah, no, he started out in Denver, then went to Chicago, I believe. Either way, I'm going to have to double check that. But either way, I mean, Matt Forte, one of the best running backs when he was playing. All right, not top 5, but was a good quarterback, or was a good running back. Excuse me, still got my mind on quarterbacks since we spent most of the show on it. But is the guy a Hall of Famer? Definitely not. I mean, why are we even asking this question? Why? All right, Matt Forte had a nice NFL career, played 10 years. All right, like I said, rushed for a little less than 10,000 yards, 54 touchdowns. All right, but is he a Hall of Fame running back? No, not at all. He's not first ballot. He's not second ballot. He's not third ballot. He's not fourth ballot. He's not fifth ballot. He's not the senior ballot. All right, he's not a Hall of Famer. I don't know why that question was asked. All right, and I'm not trying to knock Matt Forte. Like I said, at the time when he was out there in his prime, one of the most talented running backs on the field. All right, but the dude is not a Hall of Famer. I don't even know why this question came up. All right. Just makes no sense to me. Matt Forte, great player, Hall of Fame material. Didn't even make a first team. Didn't even make an All-Pro team. First team All-Pro, not once. Made 2 Pro Bowls in 10 years. All right. I don't even really like using the Pro Bowl because, I mean, Pro Bowl is up to the fans, and I don't really trust the fans too much. All right. Yeah, I'm a fan. Sometimes I don't trust myself. But either way, I mean, is he a Hall of Famer? No. All right. No. Let's see. What awards does he have? He's on the all-rookie team. That's it. I'm looking on Pro Football Reference right now. They got 4 awards. 2008 NFL all-rookie team. You know how NFL Network does that top 100 list? Yeah, those are the 4 other awards he has. All right. 1 Player of the Week once in 2010, Week 1. That was it. All right. 33rd all-time in career rushing yards. 60th all-time in touchdowns rushing. 109th all-time in yards per attempt. Career average rushing yards per game, 67. I might be reading that wrong. I hope I'm reading that wrong. All right. So, yeah, are those Hall of Fame numbers? No. They are not. All right. Not at all. Again, not trying to hate on the guy, but he's just not a Hall of Famer, you know? Now let's talk about Frank Gore. All right? Frank Gore, definite Hall of Famer. All right? Not going to be back with the Colts this year, but I'm sure he'll find his way onto another team. Dude's got so far 1,400 yards, 77 touchdowns. 1,400 yards, good for 5th. All right, ahead of guys like LaDainian Tomlinson, ahead of Eric Dickerson, ahead of Tony Dorsett, ahead of Marshall Faulk, ahead of Marcus Allen, okay? Ahead of Fred Taylor, ahead of a lot of guys. All right, Frank Gore, most underrated player of all time, okay? Not as appreciated as he should be. Let's see, what awards does Frank Gore have? I don't think he has too many awards either. Let's see. 4 awards. Oh, the NFL Top 100 list. Come on. All right. Let's see. 5 Pro Bowls, 5 Player of the Weeks. Let's see what his stats are all time. Rushing attempts, 5th all time in rushing attempts. All right. That's great. 5th all time in rushing yards. Great. 22nd all time in rushing touchdowns. 73rd all time in rush yards per attempt. Rushing yards per game, 34 all time. Okay. The dude is Hall of Fame material. Okay. Frank Gore is, I got to double check that stat, but Frank Gore is looking like 7th all time in yards from scrimmage. All right. All purpose yards, 12th all time. The dude is a Hall of Famer for sure. For sure. All right. Played extremely well when he was with the 49ers. Even played well with the Colts. I think the dude had over 1,000 yards this year, or like pretty near it. All right. He was like real close to it. Let me see his stats from this year with the Colts. Let's see. This year with the Colts ran for 961 yards. Last year ran for over 1,000. The year before that with the Colts ran for 967. The dude has been near 1,000 yards every year of his career except for his rookie year. All right. Where he only got the ball 127 times. In 2006 with the 49ers, ran for nearly 1,700 yards, was 5 yards away from it. All right, 2007 ran for over 1,100. 2008 ran for over 1,000. 2009 ran over for 1,100 again. 2010 ran for over 853. Not that good of a year. Maybe he was hurt that year. Who knows? All right. 2011 over 1,200 yards. 2012 over 1,200 yards. 2013 over 1,100 yards. 2014 over 1,100 yards. Then he's with the Colts, 967, 1025, 961. His rush yards with each year with the Colts. All right. The dude is a Hall of Fame running back. That should never be questioned. Okay. And that's why I say that. The fact that we're having this discussion shows that he is the most underrated player of all time. All right. And you know what? There might be people older than me with players from the 80s and 90s saying, no, these guys are underrated. They should be talked about more. Well, for me, Frank Gore, definitely most underrated player of all time. All right. Should be talked about more. Should be appreciated more. Is he a Hall of Famer? Without a doubt. All right. Do not ask me if Matt Forte is a Hall of Famer because he's not at all. Not even close. Okay. Not even close. I just compared those two guys, their two numbers combined, or compared them. Yeah. You tell me who's better. All right. Frank Gore, was he ever as talented as Matt Forte as far as all around? Probably not, but he did more with what he had. All right, Frank Gore's played, 13 years so far? That's big for a running back, right? I'm sure Frank Gore is going to get signed by another team, too. I know Frank Gore has it in his mind that he's trying to play with his kid, too. I think his kid's going to be going to playing Division I football soon. Let's see, how old is Frank Gore right now? Frank Gore, his nickname is the Inconvenient Truth. Are you serious? That's really his nickname? I don't know. Maybe that's a cool nickname, the Inconvenient Truth. Let's see if I can find Frank Gore's age somewhere. Let's see. Frank Gore age. Frank Gore has got to be less than 34 years old. Yeah, Frank, I don't think you're going to be able to play with your kid. That's still crazy. His name's the Inconvenient Truth. He's going to be turning 35 this season, so I don't know. Is he going to be signed to a team? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe he could be go play for a Pete Carroll type team in Seattle, since they don't really like running backs. I mean, Frank Gore, he hasn't lost really, I guess you could say he has lost a step, but he's still productive. All right? Yeah, he's still pretty productive. I mean, not in 2016, ran for over 1,000 yards. Last year, ran for 961. Let's see. Has his carries gone down at all? Let's see. Let me look at his carries. That's where you tell if he's taking a step down. Carries, it's all been pretty high up. All right? If anything, he's been getting the ball more and more. All right? So, yeah, Frank Gore still got some gas in the tank. Not ready to call it quits yet. I don't think he should call it quits either. I think there's got to be a team that signs him at least. And let's see, yeah, that year he only ran for 853 yards, only played 11 games that season. So, yeah, he was injured. All right. So, yeah, Frank Gore, definite Hall of Famer. Should be signed this year. All right. Give the dude a chance. Dude's been productive all year. Could still handle 250-plus carries. Not most running backs can. All right? So, yeah, there's Frank Gore. Hall of Famer, yes. Matt Forte, no. Sorry about it, but it's the truth. All right? Matt Forte was great with the Bears, just not good enough to get into the Hall. All right? So let's talk about John Gruden a bit at the Hall, what he said at the Combine. So John Gruden says, I'm trying to take football back to 1998. All right? We're going to play the fullback. And what else he say? I don't like technology. I don't use GPS. I don't like analytics. All right? So John Gruden said all of that. John Gruden said he's going to try to take football back to 98. All right, that's cool if that's your plan, but John Gruden should know that coaches who try and do football or any professional sport the old school way and don't adapt and progress tend to fail. All right? If I'm a Raiders fan, I don't really like hearing that too much. All right? It probably sounds cool because you think, oh, yeah, remember fullbacks? Oh, yeah, so cool. Remember run the ball and play defense? Yeah, well, that's not the league now, okay? Some teams do it. Some teams succeed. But you do need a solid quarterback. Raiders got that, all right? But John Gruden needs to realize that you got to progress and adapt with the times rather than go back in time, all right? Because you're not going to succeed at all. At all. Okay? So, I mean, as far as the whole John Gruden thing, said he wants Amari Cooper to be the focal point of that offense. I like that a lot, all right? Amari Cooper, I think he could be a top 5 receiver in this league. Easily. All right? He's got the speed, can run routes well, can go up, catch the ball. Pretty much everything you need in a receiver. His only problem, dude forgot how to catch the ball this year. All right? Literally forgot how to catch the ball, it looked like. Had cinder blocks for hands. All right? And that might be a little weird reference or whatever, but you put some cinder blocks on your hands, try to go catching footballs. Let me see how many footballs you catch. All right? We're going to get that going, too. Players who can't catch the ball, they got cinder blocks for hands. And maybe that's already a saying or whatever. Maybe I'm a young kid who hasn't heard it that much. But either way, I'm going to claim it as mine. All right? So, yeah, Amari Cooper had cinder blocks for hands this season. But I think he can adapt, play well this season, all right? And I like, too, he said he's going to utilize Marshawn Lynch. Last year, I think that the Raiders really didn't give him the ball enough until towards the end of the year, and towards the end of the year, he was playing pretty well. All right? Marshawn Lynch isn't done. He's not washed. He just needs the ball. All right? And they're bringing back Crabtree. I'm really happy about that. Raiders are going to have a top 10 offense this year if Amari Cooper catches the ball and if Derek Carr can stay healthy. All right? Raider fans sometimes got mad at Derek Carr this season. I saw through some tweets and some comments as far as looking at the Raiders account, stuff like that. And I am a guy who likes to look at different team accounts, see what the fans are saying, just to get a feeling of what's going on. But yeah, some of them weren't too happy with Derek Carr. But you know what? I think, as I've said before, I think that that more so had to do with the fact that the dude fractured his back and came back after missing only a week. All right? Yeah, he played terrible. No doubt. He was terrible this season. But I think there's more to it than him just taking a step back and not really being that good of a quarterback. All right? I think it was more to do with injury. What scares me about the Raiders is that defense. And John Gruden said that, you know what, he's going to be focusing on it in the draft. And I love that too. All right? John Gruden saying we're going to focus on defense in the draft. Raider fans got to be happy about that. The only thing that kind of concerns me with him is he's trying to take football back to the 90s, 98. Obviously, that's not like real or anything like that. He's not actually going to do it. But I just hope that John Gruden has in his mind that, yeah, you need to adapt, and sometimes you do need to dip your hand, deep into the analytics a bit. I know football's a different game. It's not like baseball where analytics is everywhere and basketball where it's starting to take over a bit. Football is different. You can get away with not using it. But I feel like if other teams are doing it, then you need to progress and do it just like them, right? The NFL is a league full of parity, as everyone likes to say. All right, so that's all I got to say about that, but I am pretty excited about the Raiders this season, okay? I think they're going to take a little step forward. We'll see. Playoffs, I'm not sure. The Broncos with Kirk Cousins are the second best team in that division. As of right now, the Chargers are the best team in that division. The Chiefs are probably the worst team in that division right now, all right? So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how that division plays out. But that's all I got to say about that. Next up, we're going to be talking about anything else going on in football. I'm going to see if I can name all the Dolphins quarterbacks from since Dan Marino to Ryan Tannehill. So we'll do that. That's going to be real interesting to do. So we'll be doing that, pretty much talking about anything else going on in the world of football. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
And welcome back to the GSMC Football Podcast. So far today, we talked about the Browns. What do they do with all those picks that they got? What do they do at the quarterback position? I gave my idea. Threw out a little scenario where they end up with Le'Veon Bell and Case Keenum. All right, that could happen. It could. All right, if the Steelers are dumb enough to let him walk, it could happen. Talked about Matt Forte. Is he a Hall of Famer? Short answer, no. Long answer, definitely not. Talked about Frank Gore. Is he a Hall of Famer? Definitely, yeah. And the most underrated player of all time. All right, talked about John Gruden a bit. And we talked about the Dolphins. Talked about Ryan Tannehill. Is time up for him? Are they going to be drafting a quarterback? Maybe. I think they should. All right, unless you got a guy like Roquan Smith or Tremaine Edmonds out there. Because linebacker is a bigger need. All right, and because of that, it got me thinking. Dolphins have had about a whole bunch of quarterbacks since Dan Marino up until Ryan Tannehill. So I think, could I name them all? Possibly. So I'm going to try and start that out. All right. Again, I haven't looked at any list or anything like that. So this is all from the dome. All right. So let's see. We're going to be talking about a bunch of other stuff in this segment too. Whatever comes to my mind as far as football goes. All right. I think Seahawks are open to trading Michael Bennett too. I got that update earlier today. Let me see if that's still. Yeah. All right. So the Seahawks are open to trading him, or at least, I don't know, trading Michael Bennett. Like they could. They're shopping him. So he's probably going to end up somewhere. I don't know what's a good spot for Michael Bennett. Who knows? But let's see if I can name these quarterbacks real quick. All right, so you got Jay Fielder after that. You got Ray Lucas. It's Sage Rosenfels, Joey Harrington, Dante Culpepper. And I still can't believe. Can you guys believe that the Miami Dolphins could have had Drew Brees, but they chose to go with Dante Culpepper instead? All right, it was between those two. I remember. All right, Drew Brees got cut by the Chargers. Dante Culpepper came off a knee injury from the Vikings. They let him go. And Miami had their choice. I think Drew Brees, there's all kinds of stories as to why they ended up with Drew Brees. But I guess he failed his physical and went up with Culpepper. But either way, that was terrible. All right, so yeah, you got Culpepper. I said Rosenfels, Harrington. Let's see, that's 3. Fielder, Lucas, Trent Green. Let's see, who else? Cleo Lemon. I'm drawing a real blank here. Let's see. I think they had A.J. Feely for a little bit. I always get him and Jay Feely mixed up. I'm sure A.J. Feely's quarterback. Pat White for a bit. Pat White, remember him? Played with West Virginia. All right, was a crazy quarterback. Was supposed to come in with Miami, run the Wildcat, and then boom, the Steelers end his career. All right, so there's 8. That's 9 actually. Yeah, John Beck, Chad Henne. That's 11. I'm drawing a real blank here. Tyler Thigpen, 12. Man, that's brutal. Like all these names are terrible. Is 12 as much as I can go? Matt Moore. That's 13. Let's see. I think I'm drawing a blank there. I think that's it. All right, so I named 13. Let's see. Who did I miss? We got Damon Heward, Gus Farrat, Chad Pennington. How did I forget about Chad Pennington? All right, so those are the 3 I missed. All right, so yeah. They've gone through Jay Fielder, Damon Heward, Ray Lucas, Brian Greasy, I missed him too, A.J. Feely, Sage Rosenfels, Gus Farrat, Joey Harrington, Dante Culpepper, Cleo Lemon, Trent Green, John Beck, Chad Pennington, Chad Henne, Tyler Thigpen, Matt Moore, and then the final, which is Ryan Tannehill. All right, that just shows me what in the world was this front office thinking as far as picking quarterbacks. Are you serious? All right, are you kidding me? Let's see. I wonder if I can find the Browns quarterbacks. I don't think I can be able to list them all, but let's see. Browns quarterbacks. They've had quite the amount, all right? Let's see. They've had Tim Couch, I think it was. Didn't he win the Heisman? Or was it someone else that won the Heisman? Let's see. List of Cleveland Browns starting quarterbacks. This is a long list. All right, so after 99, all right. Yeah, so from 96 to 98, they weren't a team. 99, they come back. You got Tim Couch, Ty Detmer, Doug Peterson, Tim Couch again, Kelly Holcomb. That's quite the throwback name. Jeff Garcia, one of the more underrated players of all time right there too, right? Jeff Garcia was a beast with the 49ers, all right? And I don't know why he never really got his fair shake, all right? He won games with the 49ers, but like I said, I just don't know why, anyone ever really gave him a chance. The dude probably deserved a whole lot more. So it's been Jeff Garcia, Luke McCown, Trent Dilfer. Oof, I don't know how that guy got a Super Bowl. Charlie Fry, Derek Anderson, Brady Quinn. That was the ultimate bust of a quarterback right there. Ken Dorsey, Bruce Gradkowski. Let's see, that's Cincinnati's finest right there. You had Colt McCoy, Jake Delhomme, Seneca Wallace. All right, Brandon Whedon. Oh, that was terrible. Jason Campbell, Brian Hoyer, Johnny Manziel, Connor Shaw, Josh McCown. Both McCown brothers played for the Browns. That's wild. Austin Davis, RG3, Cody Kessler, Deshaun Kaiser, Kevin Hogan. All right, so tons of quarterbacks. Both of those teams, I guess, are the epitome of what you don't do at the quarterback position. Both, I don't know, I don't understand. Some of these teams in the NFL have gone a few years with a competent quarterback, but for some reason, the Browns and the Miami Dolphins just do not know how to draft quarterbacks. I do not get why. All right, but either way, there's that. And one thing I've been noticing too, people keep comparing Josh Allen to Jamarcus Russell as far as arm strength. I don't think that's a good thing for Josh Allen. All right, Jamarcus Russell is like, you don't say that name. You don't. That's the ultimate bust right there at quarterback. I say Jamarcus Russell, Brady Quinn. All right, am I missing anyone else? I guess Ryan Leaf, but he had his own problems. Jamarcus Russell had problems, so I guess all around just didn't play well at all. Brady Quinn, probably the ultimate bust. Matt Leinart got hurt a bunch. Maybe we should do a segment on that in the next show on Tuesday. Who knows? But either way, Jamarcus Russell, man. Crazy how he got drafted number 1 overall because he could throw a football from his knees. All right, that was like the ultimate thing, too, people talked about. I remember. I was like, what? When did Jamarcus Russell get drafted? Like 2006? So I was probably about 10 years old at the time, around there. And I just remember that's like one thing that stuck with me since I was 10. All right, Jamarcus Russell could throw the ball from his knees. All right, ridiculous. From LSU. But I don't know. So Josh Allen, Josh Allen's kind of weird to me as a quarterback. All right. Like, it's kind of, this whole process of the draft is kind of weird, okay? And I've never really noticed it or paid attention to it much until now, but notice from the time the season ends to, from January, because that's when they start talking about quarterbacks, all right? So from about the end of the season till, I guess, up until this time at the Combine, people change their mind quite a bit on these quarterbacks, all right? Because I remember beginning, Josh Allen was a project. You don't draft him in the top 10 at all. All right, you don't draft him number 1. That'd be crazy talk. All right, he's a project. You got to have him develop. Now it's the people talking about like he's going to go number 1 to the Browns. All right, Josh Rosen, one of the best pure passes in the draft, most NFL-ready quarterback. You got Mel Kiper saying he's going to fall out of the top 10. All right, Sam Darnold's the only one. He's the only one that hasn't changed, Sam Darnold. All right. Last year was thought of as the number 1 pick. This year still thought of as a possible number 1 pick, even if he had a down year too. So Sam Darnold might just be the best quarterback in the draft since he hasn't changed at all. All right. Then you got Darnold, Rosen. You got Mayfield, who last year wasn't really talked about too much. This year it's pretty much, he's not going number 1. He could go anywhere from 5 to 15. All right. So Mayfield hasn't really changed, but he hasn't really been talked about as that top. And then there's Lamar Jackson, where I have no clue where it came on. You know what? I'm going to say this. Bill Polian has never watched Lamar Jackson play in his life. Never. Never, never, never. No way Bill Polian has watched Lamar Jackson play one football game. All right? Let alone a football play. I've seen Lamar Jackson play a bunch. All right? One of my favorite players in college football. The dude, I don't understand how you watch him play and see wide receiver. All right? Actually, there are ways, but I'm not going to get into that. But there's no way, just watching him and his pure ability, that you say, yeah, this guy's a wide receiver. No way whatsoever. Bill Polian has never seen Lamar Jackson play football ever, all right? Lamar Jackson didn't have a bunch of talent around him either, okay? The dude went out there, won ball games, and was throwing for over a couple hundred yards, running for 100 yards, scoring a bunch of touchdowns, all right? I don't know why Lamar Jackson, like, he's the guy this year where people are talking down on, but he's going to be very good in this league if he goes to the right team. Because obviously with any of these quarterbacks, they could be busts, okay? Any of them. Josh Rosen could be, Sam Darnold could be, Josh Allen could be, Baker Mayfield could be. It just depends on what teams they go to, all right? That's how it is for all quarterbacks, all right? But the fact that Bill Polian's out here saying Lamar Jackson, that still bugs me too. Bill Polian saying Lamar Jackson should be a wide receiver. That makes no sense whatsoever. There's no way Bill Polian has watched an ounce of film on Lamar Jackson, all right? And Bill Polian never did much with Indianapolis, all right? It was Peyton Manning, okay? I might be anti-Bill Polian now. I've been anti-Jeff Fisher for a while. I think I'm still anti-Jeff Fisher, but Bill Polian's pretty much rising up there in the ranks for me. So I guess now I'm the leader of the anti-Jeff Fisher club, and I'm the leader of the anti-Bill Polian club, all right? But like I said, for the fourth segment, you never really know what's going on. We pretty much talk about whatever, especially since the offseason. So I wanted to talk about those things a bit. Had some fun with it. That's going to wrap it up for today's show. Today, like I said, we talked about the Miami Dolphins and Ryan Tannehill in the first segment. Talked about the Cleveland Browns in the second segment. Third segment, we talked Frank Gore. We talked Matt Forte. We talked John Gruden a bit. This segment, I tried doing my best naming the Dolphins quarterback since Dan Marino up until before Ryan Tannehill. All right, so we did that. We listed all the Browns quarterbacks, and then we talked a bit about Josh Allen and the quarterbacks. Talked about how their value changes from month to month. It's kind of weird, but either way, we did all that today. Thanks for listening to the GSMC Football Podcast. As always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. All right, even though it's the offseason, we're not going anywhere. We're going to have something new to talk about every time, all right, as we've done so far. So stick with us. We'll be back on Tuesday, so stay tuned, and we will talk to you later.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.